All right, fragrances.
Bean burritos and deviled eggs. A broccoli cheese souffle.
That make people look less fat.
You ate like a hog. Smells like a dog.
There is a smell. It smells like a
Who blew that smell? Can't you smell that smell?
There is a smell. It smells like a
Can't stand that smell. That's lingering around you. A plate of nachos gonna smell. Jalapenos do you harm.
Before American woman will allow you in her vagina, you must do something called dating.
Around you. Who blew that smell? It really smells like hell. Too much Taco Bell.
Now, this is a scientist, and he studies fragrances.
Still around you.
For some reason, they use really pretty heavy people, like 245-pound people. But he claims that certain smells make these people seem a lot lighter. That seems unbelievable to me. I certainly wouldn't be fooled by a smell.
No, that's ridiculous.
She must be tight, like a man's anus.
What a stank.
Hi, this is Dr. Hirsch.
Hey, Dr. Hirsch, how you doing?
Good, yourself?
Very well. We're fascinated by your fragrance discovery.
Oh, thank you.
That sounds like something that's going to make a lot of people very happy.
Well, I think it's a potential.
Yeah. Now, tell us how this works, or how you think it works.
What we did is we basically looked at the olfactory equivalent of vertical lines. You know, if you wear a shirt with up and down stripes, people perceive you're thinner than you actually are.
Yeah.
Right.
What we found was an aroma that when women wear it, men perceive they're 12 pounds lighter. Now, it affects a man's perception of a woman, but it has no impact upon a woman's perception of a man or a woman's perception of another woman.
What do you find attractive? What weight?
Well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it that much.
You need to get out of the lab, Dr. Hirsch.
Well, I'm telling you.
Check out some chicks.
There's
skanks all over the web.
I tell you what one of the challenges in doing the study was getting enough men together to study them, because during the daytime men aren't around, so it's very hard to find them. So we had to bring our models over to the ballpark and sports events, and even in the evening we'd bring her over to the bars, but then the men at the bars kept hitting on our models, so we had to stop doing that.
Well, how does this fragrance impersonate the business of vertical lines? I mean, that sounds really radical.
Well, here at the Smell Taste Treatment and Research Foundation in Chicago, we've been studying the effects of odors on behavior and mood for the last decade or so, or the last 2 decades actually. And we have over 85 active studies looking at the effects of odors on behavior, anywhere from how odors affect weight loss, exercise.
Have you studied what odor makes women want to have sex?
Well, we've studied odors that induce female sexual arousal. When we measured vaginal blood flow.
That would be what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we found the number one odor that enhanced female sexual arousal was a combination of was a combination of Good and Plenty and cucumber, although Good and Plenty and banana nut bread also had very positive effects.
Really? Well, maybe they associate some with cucumbers.
That's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
Some people, did you ever have them smell money?
No. However, when we did the homologous study looking at male sexual arousal, and unlike in men where every single odor we tested enhanced penile blood flow, that wasn't true amongst women.
Oh, yeah,
there were some odors that inhibited sexual arousal in women.
What inhibited arousal?
Well, the smell of cherries had a very negative effect, the smell of barbecued roasting meat, and the smell of men's cologne, all acted to inhibit female sexual arousal.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Women love a nice cologne, I would think, and especially barbecued steak and all that. Boy, I think women would love that.
Well, I'm not sure why. Maybe the smell of cherries induced a somatoform memory of taking cherry cough medicine as a child.
That makes them remember when they popped the cherry. I don't know.
That was a tough reach for you.
Yeah, I know.
What fragrances get men hard?
Well, the number one odor that enhanced penile blood flow was a combination of lavender and pumpkin pie.
Wait, lavender gets men hard too?
Number 2 was a combination of donuts and black licorice, and number 3 was a combination of pumpkin pie and donuts. However, there was individual variation. So the older the man, the greater the engorgement with vanilla.
The engorgement, did you say?
Yes.
Yeah. How did you measure the penile blood flow?
Well, the way we measured penile blood flow, we put a small blood pressure cuff on the penis and a larger blood pressure cuff on the arm, and you measured changes in blood pressure as you introduce surgical masks that have been pre-impregnated with an aroma.
Jeez.
So you can actually take the blood pressure of a hard penis?
Well, one can see changes in blood pressure actually very early on. And that's the way we traditionally measure sexual arousal in males.
You couldn't just observe whether they had they'd popped a rod or not?
Well, that would be a very gross way of looking at it. And
well, it's pretty simple.
Well,
it seems pretty simple, though.
Yeah, or something that would sense like as the penis is getting larger and harder, it seems like you could have I don't know, something that would pick up on that, some type of sensor that would very easily tell that there's an increase in the circumference, what have you.
Well, actually, there's a tumescence monitor you can use for that. They use along with sleep.
Wait, tumescence means...
Yeah, the same for sleep studies.
Does tumescence mean, is that how hard you are, tumescence?
Well, that's exactly right, or enlargement.
Is it true that you're putting the most tumescent pictures up on the web of these guys when they were asleep?
No, You
should. I mean, people in the study, I'm sure they understand that you're expected to do that.
Well, I think that they should be severely engorged when they're photographed, and the glands, GLANS.
Did you test smells on what gets homosexuals aroused versus heterosexuals?
Well, as part of the study, we did look at sexual orientation, and we did not find a statistically significant difference between homo and heterosexual males. However, the numbers may not have been high enough for us to detect it.
Oh, you didn't have many homosexuals to participate?
The numbers were too small. That's right.
Because wouldn't you have expected a different set of smells to make a homosexual person's get hard?
I don't know. We didn't anticipate food odors would work primarily for men, and I'm not even sure why that is. Maybe the odors induced a Pavlovian conditioned response and made the men recall their girlfriends or wives. I don't know. It
seems kind of trivial, but it's just maybe the smell of ass would do it, just as an association. But is it typically associations, or would it not likely be something like ass?
Yeah, like caca,
Well, I'm not sure of the mechanism of why these odors had an effect. Maybe they induced an olfactory-evoked nostalgic response.
Because I can't picture a casserole giving a guy a hard-on, or some type of food item, Well, the same thing with food, like spaghetti and meatballs. Next thing you know, he's long and thick and hard.
Well, the best I could understand as to why food odors had this effect is maybe the odors induced maybe it has to do with evolution. In our distant past, our ancestors tended to wander around relatively independently in the forest, and they would tend to congregate at points of food kills.
Maybe it makes them. Maybe the smell of food makes them.
Just wait to say again.
Make them.
What was the biggest in the study that you did?
Again, I really don't know. However, there was something that
you didn't measure the people, because I would think that would be critical to the study.
One of the things that we observed that was very unusual, at least, is the amount of genital jewelry that we found.
Genital jewelry, is that right?
Yeah, I was somewhat surprised by that, because here in the West...
You mean you discovered all kinds of like rings? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, here in the Midwest we tend to be much more conservative, and I would have thought that this is very unusual, but we saw it relatively frequently. I was very surprised by that.
Huh.
Wow.
Because I couldn't help but wonder, being 9.5 inches with a nice cut, if that would impact my ability, especially as I get older, to achieve erection.
Well, I don't know. I think the number one thing that impairs...
I've got a good cut. I don't know if that makes any difference.
It's probably cigarette smoking. I think that's probably the number one thing you can do to if you cut out cigarette smoking, it will probably have the greatest effect.
I don't smoke cigarettes.
There's no question about it. When I quit, my God, my is, I think, 3 times the size that it used to be.
Walters, have you ever quit smoking?
I did for like a month or two.
Did you notice yourself getting harder, easier?
I noticed the hue was a lot better.
Dr. Hirsch, do you notice that to be true? Does the coloration change at all if somebody quits smoking?
I don't know. We know that blood flow improves.
And
it maybe maybe
That would affect the hue of one's crank.
No, I don't want to make it sound like my cock was like really oddly discolored either, because it wasn't before. It just took on a more healthy hue, kind of like the lung does. If you
additional blood flow, it seems like it would make change the coloration of your crank. Would it, Dr. Hirsch? Do you think?
I don't know.
Don't know. Now, you studied, the typical weight that you studied was, this is kind of strange, 245-pound women, correct?
Well, that's right. Now, because what we found is that when the woman is a lot thinner, it doesn't have this positive effect.
Do you have a lot of chubby chasers in the study, or how do you, because I would think most people would look at a 245-pound woman and say, hey, I'm not getting hard under any circumstances, not with this.
Well, again, all we did was have them estimate weight. However, we are doing a study right now where we are looking at actual weight loss.
Isn't it hard to guess the weight of someone 245 pounds? I would think you'd be off, but they typically underestimated it, huh?
Well, that's right. And actually, men are much worse than women are at estimating weight. So, and I think part of that maybe is because women are very adroit at it, and men are just maybe very easily influenced by a woman's aroma. But it's sort of it has to do, to a large part, I think, based on how we perceive ourselves. We looked at 3,193 men and women, and what we did is we asked them how much do you weigh and how tall you are, and women consistently underestimated their true weight.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
God, yes. Oh, yeah.
Men overestimated their height. And so I think
that makes perfect sense. Yeah, because guys want to be taller. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, man, I bet you if you measured, I bet men would overestimate their size too.
Well, I don't know. I suspect that's right. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. I think you can guarantee that a man can look at his and just, I would say, by at least an inch, be off an inch.
Because I've seen the average in a lot of these studies, and it's not the size that guys are typically talking about when they're referring to their own crank.
There was one other thing that we found that was a little different between men and women. When we had done a study looking at shaving cream and at razor blades, it was interesting because when men and women are different in how long they keep their razor blades, men will change their razor maybe every day, every second, third day. A woman will keep her razor for months at a time.
Speaking of shaving, did many of the people in your study, they shave around the base of their crank?
I don't know.
I thought that might be of interest to you since you're studying, how people perceive weight to be based on smells, and that's simply a matter of trimming the pubic hair around the base, and it gives people the illusion that the crank is larger.
Well, that's an interesting observation.
Well, it's an interesting study, and is there a website people can go to take a look at for more information?
Oh, sure. If they log onto our website at smellandtaste.org, or if people do want to participate in our sprinkle diet, using sprinkles to induce weight loss, they give us a call at 1-800-664-3880.
It's a wild study. Dr. Hirsch, thanks for your time.
It's been a pleasure.
Sure enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Wow. Anyway.
Wow.
Now,
that guy, I know, he is.
How is that you can just throw the kitchen sink at that guy? He doesn't even flinch.
He was rubber and we were glue.
I'm telling you. Isn't that amazing? Nothing fazed him at all, no matter how insane it got.
I like the term crank. That's funny. I haven't heard that word for years until you said it once. You were talking about Don Johnson's huge crank.
Oh, that's right. I used to say
and
it all the time.
The only time you ever say that word is when you're referencing Don Johnson's.
Right. Don Johnson's crank.
Everything else is something else, but Don Johnson has a huge crank.
Exactly. We're talking about the
Why
girls.
is that?
I don't know why that is. But it's always been this thing of like, oh, I see. Melanie Griffith, she used to be married to Don Johnson. Well, we all know it's because of this huge crank.